Hey, what's going on, everybody? My microphone might be a little bit far away. Scoot this a little bit closer. And let me see here. Cool. Well, welcome, everybody. I'll give some time for everybody to pop in here. We're going to be doing... this is a little bit earlier than I would normally stream. And that's because the ZBrush Summit is today. Or at least the live Sculpt off for the ZBrush Summit starts today. Where did I put that link? Here we go. So yeah, the ZBrush Summit, here we go. Yeah, the ZBrush Summit is today. If you guys go to Pixelogic/ZBrush Live, you can check out the schedule to see what's all going on today. So today is the live Sculpt off. And that's going to be at 2 p.m. EST, which is why we're streaming a little bit earlier. And then it'll go from there. Friday, there's a lot of, or all throughout the entire weekend, there's going to be a ton of presenters and stuff going on. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. Again, we'll cut off the stream here before that starts. So we'll hang out for a couple hours and get as much done as we can on our good old Goober boy here. And then go check out the live Sculpt off because I'm going to be excited for that. I'll definitely be watching it, and hopefully you guys will be as well. So we streamed twice yesterday, later in the day, last night. We were looking at the foot down here. We'll be doing that some more, but before I really get into that, there's quite a few things here. Oh, you know what? That was giving me some errors down there. There we go. Cool. I want to try something with my head before we get back into that. So let's just grab our clay sculpting material and go into T-pose mesh here. And welcome, guys. I don't expect too many people to get in here just because nice and early in the morning, and it's not the normal time for the stream. It's not a problem though. Hopefully the ZBrush Summit's gonna be really cool. I've never had the opportunity to go. It just kind of falls at a bad time in the year. It doesn't really work out for me. But either way, it's nice that they stream all of it live. The live Sculpt off, I believe that is only being streamed live. I don't believe that you can go to the event like you could in the past. I'm not too sure on that. Maybe somebody here knows. But if I remember correctly, in the past you could go to the stream. Or I'm sorry, you could go to the live Sculpt off. So one thing that was kind of bothering me about the head is the illustration in general is pushed really far in a lot of different ways. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of cheating going on, there's a lot of skewing happening in the image, in particular the direction that the head is looking, and then just like the skewing of the front of the mouth and the eyes, just to make sure that the character is reading properly. You'll see a lot of this happen in 2D, and sometimes it's not possible to do that necessarily in 3D. But we will try our best. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is just turn the head towards the camera even more, and then maybe elongate the entire mouth and see if that starts to read a little bit better from this one view here. So I'll just mask all that off and just Control tap on my surface a few times, soften that, and let's just draw out our transpose line and get that nice and straight. Pull it out just a tad. Start to see how this is reading. I'm looking at the silhouette. I'm also looking at just where all these hits are happening. And like I said, there's a lot of skewing happening in this image, so we'll have to kind of make some sacrifices here and there. But there are, I don't know, I do enjoy that the fact that we can kind of see the eyes a little bit better, the front of the mouth from this view a little bit better. You can see how that's looking. Of course, we need to look at this from a 360 view, as well as extreme angles from up top and down below, and I'm just looking at the silhouette, seeing how this is reading from every possible direction. It's really easy for you to get caught up in one angle, and then all of a sudden you rotate, like you're sitting here pushing things around, making sure that it reads really well, and you're like, yeah, and then you turn and you're like, oh wow, I totally broke everything. That's really easy to let that happen. Let's go. I'm thinking I might rotate that head even a little bit more. The problem is some of the things I'm looking at this kind of line up from the body here. We've gotten that closer now. Just looking at where all this stuff is hitting. Your transpose line can be used for a lot of good stuff here for measuring up. So we're close with a lot of this. Let's move this neck a little bit. Actually, I'm going to move the neck outside of transpose, just because I want to add some more subdivs in there anyway. The neck's looking maybe a little bit misshapen as well, so I think we can adjust that too. Hello people, all the new people that are popping into the stream. Like I said at the beginning of this, not many of you were here, so I'll say it again. We're doing an earlier stream today for a couple hours, and then it's off to the ZBrush Summit, off to the races, the competition. That's going to be at 2 p.m. EST. It is 11:30 in the EST here right now, so a couple hours, and then we can check that out. If you guys don't know what the ZBrush Summit is, it's the yearly live event that they stream, as well as it's an event that you can go to in LA for free. I believe it's at the Noman School. Someone can correct me on that if that's not correct. I have not had the opportunity to go in the past, but maybe by next year we will, if we can get some things to line up. But yeah, it's all super exciting. Tons of awesome presenters, and Today is not the actual, you can't go to the actual event if you are in the LA area, but you can watch it online, which we will be doing. What is happening? Oh, okay. My mouse is like freaking out. My middle mouse click was like stuck down. All right, let's see how that did. I just want to look at this kind of from my orthographics. And the neck, we definitely want to tweak that. Yeah, hope to see you guys in the ZBrush Summit chat. It'll be a lot of fun. So the neck is just getting a little bit too tapered. I was trying to create a little bit more of an interesting shape, trying to get rid of the parallels that we were seeing. I think instead of tapering it quite as much, instead what I'll do is try to get some of the straight versus curve going on a little bit more. I also want to add a couple more edge loops or sub-Ds in here. We'll see how that goes. So a little bit straighter on the backside. And just a little bit more curved on the front. And I'm just keeping this as a separate subtool for the time being. If we want, we can merge this in and stop or start playing with how that's transitioning into the head. It's such a small feature and it's kind of hidden though, so I haven't really worried about it too much. But it would not be hard to merge that into that little bean that we got going on. Let's actually try that out really quick. Oh no. Tried to delete something and we get a crash. I believe that it saved a quick save there, but we'll find out. Hopefully it did. We didn't do too much there, so I think it quick saved while I was looking at the ZBrush Live page here as well. I guess we'll see. So we have a couple recovered files when this kind of thing happens. So we have a recovered Z tool, a recovered ZBrush project, and a Z document. You never want the document. I have no idea why it recovers a document for you. The Z tool would normally be what I want, but I was on the wrong Z tool when that happened, so it's probably going to be in the ZBrush project. And it looks like it's here, so it looks like it's fine. So again, that is your Lightbox quick saves over here, and the ZPR is what I need at that time. The Z tool, it'll quick save whatever Z tool you were on at the time, and I was on this because I was trying to delete it, so it freaked out just a little bit there. Let's load our reference image back in as well. Let's turn up that opacity. And if you're using the spotlight tool, just make sure you turn off spotlight projection. That is in your, I think it's in samples? Yeah, it is. So brush, sample, spotlight projection. Essentially what spotlight projection does, if you're using the spotlight tool, I guess we can close this. It allows you to project an image onto a polygonal surface with either polypaint or sculptural data. So you could, let's say if you were doing a tattoo or something on a shirt or a texture, you could use the spotlight tool to do that. But you can also use the spotlight tool as a reference image holder. So you can load in a bunch of images, and it's really, really useful. If you guys want to know how to use the spotlight tool here a little bit more, I have a tutorial in my How to ZBrush playlist. I believe it's like the first or second video in that playlist, but it's on my YouTube channel. Okay, so a little twist, a little bit more twist to the head, a little bit of some elongation in the mouth there, and then I wanted to merge the neck into our jelly bean head here, this thing. Let's just merge these together and perform a Dynamesh. Of course, I like to turn off polypaint when I Dynamesh most of the time, because then it will preserve your poly groups, which is very helpful. So now we have 1, 2 poly groups. Turn off the line so you can, turn off the color as well so you can, what's happening? There we go. They're pretty similar colors, but we can change that. So 2 poly groups, that's great. The bean shape there for the head. And now we can start working on that transition. Just smoothing it out slightly with my smooth brush. I don't need it to be anything too crazy. And then a remesh here. That might be a little bit more off-center than I want. Let's take a quick step back and just add a slight bit of rotation to that to get that hitting a little bit more in the center line of this. I was off alignment a little bit more than I wanted. Maybe we can even get some more twist here. So more of a C curve going on from this angle. It'll be a little bit easier to adjust these once I merge them together as well. So we'll just go back again, Dynamesh. Resolution isn't that big of a deal for something so simple, especially when we can remesh after the fact. And that's taking quite a while. When you're going from a large poly count to a extremely small poly count, it tends to take a little bit longer to calculate all that. Another thing you want to keep in mind when going from something like this super low poly count. So we had this shape, right? And then we zero meshed it super low. If I were to subdivide this now, just because of the way, the number of polygons that we have here, once I start subdividing this, let's do, just so I can illustrate this, we'll turn on transparency. Once I start subdividing that shape, it starts to shrink in quite a bit. So it'll deflate pretty far. So you want to be wary of that. To get that to not happen, you can project some of this information and that'll start to fill in that shape a little bit better. So now we're pretty close to that now, so I'll just delete that old one. Don't need to project onto that anymore. And now we just have our new shape here. And of course we want the same color and material applied to that, so I'll just do that here. Hey James, how you doing, man? My day is going great so far. Today is the ZBrush Summit, or at least the first day of the live stream of the ZBrush Summit, so that's going to be really fun. It's always an exciting time of the year if you're a big ZBrush sculptor or digital sculptor in general. Let's see. But yeah, that's always exciting. That's why we're streaming so early. There will not be time later with all the summit stuff going on. Plus the, oh man, I really haven't looked at the schedule too much in terms of time, but ooh, we might have something going live actually right now. I didn't think this was starting yet. No, it is not. I don't know what was happening there. There's something going on there. I think they were maybe testing the I think they were testing the stream. That's funny. Yeah, so it's a pretty busy schedule for the next few days here. It's going to be really exciting to check out a lot of these sculptors. Dylan, Chris, Pablo. I know a few of these people, so it'll be cool to see what they're doing and check out everybody else. So I'm excited. So if you guys were here last night in our stream, we were playing around with the shoe, and I think we should yawn and then go back to our shoe and start working on that some more. So I don't know if you all were here last night, but we were using the local symmetry to play with this. Essentially, even though it's not on the X symmetrical axis plane, X symmetry plane, I guess, over here, if we use local symmetry, because this object is still symmetrical to itself, we can actually still use symmetry. So that's that local sim over there. You really like the Goofy model I'm making. Well, thank you. Yeah, he's looking pretty cool so far. He's getting there. This is a concept by Maddie C at Vertical Draws on Twitter. definitely check out their work. They have some really cool stuff. They have a Mickey Mouse that's pretty similar to this style. He's pretty cool. I like him a lot. That's why I'm here making him. How long does it take to do the whole character? Well, it would be a lot faster, probably about 2 or 3 times faster if I wasn't streaming while sculpting on this, just because my brain doesn't work as well when I'm trying to talk and explain everything and sculpt at the same time. So I think, let's see, how many streams have we done? 4 or 5? I think maybe 4. And each stream has been about 2 hours long, 2 or 3 hours. So we'll say, let's average it out and say like roughly 10 hours of streaming and sculpting working on this guy. So you can go back, there's a playlist on my YouTube channel, and there are also some videos on the Pixelogic channel where I started on this character where you can watch the entire process for this. But yeah, he's coming along. There's still a lot more that I want to do. You know, at least now all the pieces are there, so it's just a matter of tweaking everything. Getting it in the right place. So, I have completely cut this shoe in half, and I've done that so that we can get this really hard 90-degree turn in there. It's not an easy thing to do when you're just twisting geometry. That's why I prefer to slice it up this way. And then from there, what we can do is split off the sole of the shoe. That'll just make working with this even easier. And I'll probably hide that temporarily so that I can sit here and work on this. And also, we're gonna have to get that like pinching of the leather there, or hot dog meat. I was calling these hot dogs in our other stream just because, I mean, if you put some ketchup and mustard on this thing, it looks like straight up hot dog. So, I think the angle of this backside of this foot is coming forward just a little bit more, and I might tweak the angle of this to be not quite as sharp, so essentially twisting that more that direction. But let's get this shoe first. Obviously I need to mess with the proportions here. As we stretched this up really far, it elongated really poorly. Let's see. Hey Folly, love your 3D printing course. Really fun. Awesome. Well, I'm glad. That's good to hear. I'm glad that it was very helpful for you. Oh, and Craig as well. Am I gonna watch the Sculpt off? Of course I'm gonna watch the Sculpt off. All of you should definitely be checking that out. It's today at 2 p.m. EST. Yes, Lara, did you end up sculpting the Charizard for that course, or did you end up doing something different? I think I mentioned in the class that you can, follow along with what I'm doing, or, if you want to try something of your own, that's always cool as well. But I'm glad to hear that it was helpful. The pant leg here, I think what I'm going to do, I have it really cylindrical right now. I think I'm going to have to squish that in to form to the shoe a little bit better. But, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I guess I'm just going to sit here and tweak this with my move brush a little bit more. I'm using the move back face masking here just to pull this out and start messing with that. It looks like it tapers maybe slightly, so we can start to play around with that as well. It's starting to take shape. So that, I'm not sure if that's going to be the widest point down there at the 90 turn, but it'll probably be close to it. Kind of like rounds out up here. So, I don't know. You can kind of I'll look at this a little bit more in perspective. It's like 7 p.m. for you, so that's that's pretty late. If it's starting at 7 p.m., I think it goes on for at least like, I think it's like 6 hours in the past. Isn't it like 6 hours? I think every other year it's been like 6. No 3D printing. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I recommend using something like Shapeways, or if you don't have your own 3D printer, it really just kind of depends if you want to do FDM or something else like SLA. For something like that, especially for something that's like really high resolution, really clean, I would personally recommend doing SLA if you have the availability to do that. So something like, probably one of the most popular SLA printers is the Formlabs printers, the Form 1 and Form 2. They're pretty good printers as well. I'm definitely a fan. But I think you can get some decently priced SLA machines online for, you know, $500-600. You can get a pretty good one. The Formlabs machines are like $2,500, so they're pretty expensive. Let's see. Got the female head, stylized female face course as well. So that's cool. And just started that. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that you're finding them helpful. Craig says if he can, he plans to stay up. Good luck. Good luck, Craig. Yeah, I don't know if I could. Especially with the fact that it's going to be up on their YouTube channel later. So if you guys do end up missing the live stream, don't feel bad. It will be up. They do VODs for all that stuff. So if you miss anything, in particular the Sculpt off or anything like that. But it's always fun to participate live in that stuff as well. Guess it kind of depends on what time zone you're in and your schedule and everything else, though. So I'm thinking about dynameshing these together, but it might be a little bit early for that. I'd like to try to add some more form on top of this guy here. So maybe, I don't want this to break on me. I guess we'll see what this looks like after a remesh first before we go crazy on it. Craig says that he's sick as a dog, down with the flu the last few days and haven't slept much. I'm sorry, man. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I don't know what was happening, but my stomach was killing me, and it still is. I don't know if I'm getting the flu or what, but I seriously hope not. I get sick way more than a normal person should, unfortunately. I take my Flintstones vitamins, not Flintstones vitamins, but I take some vitamins and stuff. You know, I'm a pretty healthy guy. I just get sick a lot, unfortunately. I haven't been sick in a while though. Knock on Cintiq, I guess. I don't have any wood close by. Hopefully it's just like a little tiny stomach bug and it goes away really quick. But I hope you start feeling better, Craig. That's unfortunate to hear, man. Get lots of rest. Drink some OJ and some chicken noodle soup. Stick them in a blender and go crazy. Okay, maybe not that last part, but everything else was pretty sound advice. I'm just trying to form these up to be a little bit more clean so that when I combine these, I don't have to finagle them too much. What part was it? It was on this sleeve. I ended up merging the form for the fold here a little bit early, and then we just had to kind of struggle with sculpting it in a higher res than I wanted to. It was just really annoying. So I want to avoid that on this part of the shoe. I also need to make sure that where these meet, it's going to be the same width. Maybe it's not quite as thick as I'm imagining here. Let's just try something like this. These shoes are completely different sizes in the illustration. This is way further back in perspective, yet it is still much longer than what we're seeing in this shoe. So I'm gonna have to do some creative solutions with that. Something maybe like making that gap shorter. I don't know. We'll play around with it. Continue to just tweak minor things one at a time. Let's see. Might not get sick for a few months and then we'll hit you all at once. Yeah. Yeah, it's no fun. I feel like by now I've had all the sicknesses, all the colds, so I feel like I should have an immunity to all of them. Starting to clean this up now, get it to a point where this edge is looking more consistent all the way through. I'm just kind of looking at that shape here, this roundness, and how I can capture that. As it starts to get back here towards the foot, I think maybe I can shorten this leg a little bit and also shorten the length of how far back that foot goes. I think that might help. Whoa. I feel like I gotta sneeze, but it's not coming out. Sounds like Batman music or something. The Dark Knight. Hans Zimmer. Who is this? Shadows Vigilante. Each time you get the cold, it's a different strain. It evolves each time. Well, colds must love me. I'm trying to just shorten this a lot so that when we start getting this shoe in there, it's not looking too much longer than this one over here. These are overlapping. I'm doing that on purpose so that once I can merge these together and then cut off the excess, essentially. That's how I like to do really hard bends and stuff. Slice it up and then work on it this way, and then I can come down here, clip it, and then start merging and working that stuff together a little bit better. There'll be some reworking we'll have to do there, transitioning these two edges. So I don't know. Let's get one last look here in perspective, and then I'm gonna go solo mode on the shoe and start working on that together. So we have subdivs down here. We don't. Add in a few. Okay. So let's turn off perspective. And I just want to make this as easy on myself as possible. So I'm trying to line up some edges. This is really not a super clean edge, very warbly. I'll have to do some things to take care of that. We can try merging that together, I guess. And then start cleaning it up from there. So I'll just run a Dynamesh on this. Try 200, see what happens. It's pretty good. And then a slice. Just cutting off the bottom sliver of this shoe. Just like that. Delete all of that and run a close holes. I'll even clip a little bit of this just to make sure it's flat. And it could probably be clipped even a little bit more, but we have some depression being pushed in here. So I'll just have to sculpt some of this out and clean up these edges, and then we can work on this interaction up here. But this is the kind of intermediate stage of this process. If, well, let's see here. Fix this really quick. I'm trying to think if I do something similar to this technique in the 3D printing class. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think there's an extreme bend like this. I maybe do something similar in the arms of the Charizard that I sculpt. I know I definitely did something very similar to this in the Domino character that I'm working on, which I guess I can open up here in a little bit and show you guys how that's looking. It's in the kind of finishing stages. It's really close to being done. It's just like that last like 5 or 10% now. So I'm using pinching and a few other brushes here to start to get this edge to turn, get these shapes to flow together a little bit better. You can see that there's still kind of a pretty strong depression right around there. I like to use my clay tubes brush on about like a 20 Z intensity. Just fill that in a little bit and then maybe hit it with your trim brush a couple times, back and forth, switching between your alt stroke and your normal stroke. And as you smooth anything out, you're gonna start to lose that edge again, so we can try to pinch that back out. Just see how that's looking. It's getting there. It's a little dirty for sure, but let's redo some poly groups, and then I think we'll be ready for some remeshing. We got that nice separation there, which is the most difficult part. And the sole of the shoe we will have to redo as well. little warbly, but nothing a ZBrush can't begin to clean up. Let's take a look at, let me see if I have this handy. Here we go. I'll show you guys a little bit of a similar area where I've done exactly this. So here's Domino. I was working on this character for Dylan Ekron's class. It's a concept by D. Dino on ArtStation. And back here on this boot is pretty much the exact same thing. We have this really sharp turn going on. And pretty much doing that exact same thing, but almost even a little bit more extreme. There's some things here that I've pushed really far for the concept and the silhouette to read. So we're definitely getting a lot of that to read the way I want here. Let's maybe turn off the little base at the bottom. But yeah, so that's pretty much the same technique there that I'm doing on Goofy's foot. And then I kind of did a similar thing up here on the wrists. You know, I had to slice and cut some stuff. Whenever you're trying to do a really extreme bend on something, it's pretty much what I would recommend for all of that. Just because even up here in this hand, it's the same kind of story. It's like almost a 90, not quite, but pretty close. Or up here in this leg, it's a really strong bend. Anything where there's a really strong bend, if you're taking that geometry and warping it, you're going to get, instead of getting a really nice, or I guess, instead of getting this really nice crease down here, this nice form that we're getting all the way through there, and then as that tapers, that edge tapers, instead you're just gonna get like this really terrible, I'll make this like extreme, just to exaggerate my point. You'll start to get like this really just crappy kind of curve here, and that's not what you want at all. Definitely want to avoid this. But yeah, she's looking good. I like her a lot. I'm not quite finished with her, but we're getting there. Hudman, what's going on? Welcome to our early morning stream. I know that you're at work. You only watch when you're at work. But for Hudboy and everybody else that's joining us, maybe a little bit later, we're doing an earlier stream today, just because the Pixelogic ZBrush Summit starts today. Go to their website at pixelogic.com/ZBrushLive and you can see the schedule for the events. Today is the live Sculpt Off event. That's going to be really fun and exciting. So definitely check that out. I will be watching. We can all watch it together. It'll be a good time. I only stream when you're at work. Well, I actually have a clock on my wall. It's off camera, you can't see it, and it says X Hudeman at work, and it's timed perfectly to your schedule, and it has a big green light on it that lights up when I know you're at work. So that's pretty much my when I go live. Let's see if we can remesh this and not completely F it up. Guess we can turn on our goober. So we're getting a Can I go lower here? Let's try it as low as we can go and just see how bad it breaks this form. And maybe we can project that. I did duplicate this, so. We can try that. Well, that sucks. This is going to be really hard to sculpt on, so I want to avoid that kind of thing typically. It's kind of my fault the way I've positioned this. Let's try projecting and see what happens. So I see a lot of people when they're projecting from a low res to a high res, they'll add a bunch of subdivision levels and then click project. You don't want to do that though. You want to add one subdivision level, project, add another subdivision level and project again, and then continue that process up your subdivision chain. And the reason for that is, I mentioned this earlier, but if you have a really low-res piece or even a moderately low-res piece, and you start subdividing that, it's going to shrink in on itself, and then it won't be able to project to all these faraway areas that you've kind of shrunk in the mesh away from. So you want to do it in stages. It'll be a lot more consistent, and you won't have as many issues. I don't know if there's like a tutorial on YouTube or something that everybody watches that teaches them this method, but it's bad. It's not good. Don't do it. I pretty much never have problems when I do it by doing it like subsequently. The edge actually down here doesn't matter all that much because we're going to have the sole of the shoe taking up quite a bit of that. This kind of looks a little bit out of shape now. Use a really large move brush here. And then we'll cut off any excess that we don't need. And then I have a negative mesh set up. So that's how I'm creating this shape here and this hole in the shoe. I have a live boolean piece set up to create that. So we'll do the same thing on this other foot. I'll just rotate this into place. Try to make this a little bit more wide. Actually kind of tucked up under there, so the heel is kind of sticking out more, our hot dog shape, as I've been calling it. So we'll try to get that to be, what's happening here? Try to get that to fit a little bit better in there. Also, the shape of the shoe is just different between these two pieces, which is always fun. Gotta love when that level of cheating happens. but it's not really the 2D artist's fault. It's not like they're designing for 3D. If they were, we'd be getting multiple views, orthographic views, neutral poses, and all sorts of other good stuff. That would be very helpful. Which is much easier to work from. This poses a lot of interesting challenges for us. So I'm gonna try to get that corner to be really sharp in there. It's gonna be a little tough though. Fix some of this too while we're here. I'm going to try to make this as similar to the other shoe as I can. Like I said, there's some different shapes going on over here, so we kind of... I want to keep the silhouette read of having this angle flow directly very nice and cleanly into the shoe like that. I like that a lot, so we'll have to figure this out as we go. But at least initially I'm going to try to get that same shape and then try to match that over there a little bit better. And maybe we can keep the same shape while we do that. I guess we'll see. It's hard to tell right now. Okay, so a quick Dynamesh down here will set us up to get rid of some of this. I just clipped that really fast. The problem is when you clip something that's skewed like that, so see this skewed edge? If I clip this, it will, let's do it even more extreme so you can see. It will leave a little extended edge like that. Because what a clip, not clip, but yes, it is clip. What a clip brush does when clipping is, if we're looking at this line, so if I click here, it's essentially taking all geometry below this blue line and pushing it up. So it's essentially doing this. Alright. Let's see. Can I mask this off really quick? It's essentially taking all that geometry and squishing it up. So that's essentially what a clip brush does. So when I click there, it pushes all that up. And because it's skewed, it'll just push this all directly up and we'll have that weird edge there. So you just want to be careful of that. I had a little bit of that happening, and just a little bit's fine and easy to clean up, but I recommend using a slice curve brush or one of the other slice brushes instead. And then you can just delete the excess from that. It's a lot easier to work with. Okay, from here, I want to try the same technique that I did on the shoe for those poly groups. Hopefully this time it won't be quite as dirty. But there's only one way to find out, and that's through remeshing it. Well, we will project as well, probably. So let's try let's try 0.1 first. That's what we did on the shoe, I think. How we doing on time? Whoa. I think my mouse is... Yeah, mouse speed got messed up there. Let's see. Hour. Cool. So that's at 0.1. So that's giving us about 1,000. Getting a lot. We're even getting an extra poly group there. With something like this, I want it to be really clean, which is why sometimes I'll even opt to just not remesh this and work it manually. I might be doing that this time around. If anything, I might lower the resolution on this slightly. Sometimes you just need to manually clean some of this stuff up. I'm using a slight trim dynamic brush, by the way, holding Alt to round out this surface. So we're not getting quite a strong taper there, and then have it pull back out. So something more along the lines of that shape there. On the top, I think it's fine. That edge is sticking out a little bit too much for sure, so we'll have to work on that. Ramses, what's going on? Good to catch you streaming. Always. My hands are like frozen right now. We're working on our shoe right now, or at least our other shoe. I think this one's pretty good right now. We might need to do some tweaking to get it to work with the pants. One of the things that I was thinking that would help a lot is just making it a little bit wider. And then, I think that would make it a lot closer to this one. Let's try that really fast and just see how that's looking. And then we can worry about that bottom sole edge a little bit better. Ramses, are you going to be watching the live Sculpt off today? If not, if you weren't planning on it, or if you didn't know, check it out, man. It's going to be sweet. I can't wait to see what the theme is going to be for this year. Okay, so to make this wider, I'm gonna find a concentric. I'm gonna use this edge down here and snap between these two, because I know that that is pretty close to following its x-axis at the correct angle, and I can pull these out together pretty uniformly without any issues. Yes, when I said it earlier, you will for sure. Awesome. Well, I will see you there. I'll probably have both chats open for YouTube and Twitch on my machine. But I'm sure it's going to be flying by so fast it'll be hard to get a word in edgewise. It's the biggest ZBrush event of the year. I personally like the Sculpt off the most. I don't really care too much about talks for the most part. I think I don't really get a ton out of them, I guess. I don't know. They're still fun to watch though. Now, I'm not getting any of my creases right now in transpose, but I think, can I make that even taller? I think I could. Another thing that you can't do with the 3D Gizmo that you can do with the transpose line is you can snap from one vertice to another. And that allows you to, let's say if I wanted to grow this specifically in this direction along that axis, it allows me to do that. So if I wanted to do something like that for whatever reason. It's actually how I widen the shoe. I snapped between these two verts just because the shoe is rotated. So I can't just come in here and hold shift and snap that to the x-axis because that's not going to grow properly. This one down here, I think that's good for that shoe. I guess let's take a look and see how big of a change that is. Let's see, here 1 second, I want to see this happen. Okay, it's a pretty minor change from that angle, but we did increase that quite a bit, and I think it's fine. Today I started printing my first bust sculpt, and there was a power cut halfway through. Oh my gosh, that's awful, man. I'm so sorry. 12-hour print, so it printed only until the chin. Ah, that really sucks. I'm sorry, man. What you could do is go into your slicer or go into ZBrush and clip everything up to that point. And if the layers are still clean, you could just print from the chin up, maybe, and then glue everything back together. I would probably try that, depending on, I guess, what the bust looks like. But it looked good, that's good. You just have to make sure that your orientation and everything is correct. If it printed until the chin, I'm assuming that you just printed it straight up and down and probably as one piece and didn't do any breakouts or cuts or anything. But that might be a good idea, trying to break it up now that you do have part of it. It actually is pretty easy to do if you're working with like PLA or something. I don't know what material you're working with though. SLA can be a little bit more tricky, or just resin in general can be a little bit more tricky. Getting there. A lot closer now, I guess. I have no idea where it stopped. It's 25 microns. Well, it doesn't have to be a perfect lineup. I guess if you are worried about having to sand it or anything like that, what I would do is measure it and then go into ZBrush and measure it using your transpose line. Like set up your figure height in ZBrush up to what you need. I used to have to do this all the time when I was doing a lot of stuff for toys and RP parts for life-size figures. If something happened like halfway through, it wasn't a huge deal to have to... I don't know how much you know about that process though, but just go in and set up your scale in here, and then it's pretty easy to measure with your transpose line, and you can get pretty close. You can get down to like the millimeter, so I would say that that's good enough at 25 microns. Do you do your own prints or do you use iMaterialize? I do my own prints. I don't even know what iMaterialize is, actually. I have a lot of experience in 3D printing just from my time working on toys and life-size figures, like setting up stuff for mainly PLA and SLA prints, but a lot of stuff for printing, or I'm sorry, a lot of stuff for milling out of foam on like a 6 or 8, I think it was a 6-axis mill arm. It was huge. But yeah, just a lot of experience in that kind of stuff. I don't know what iMaterialize is though. When 3D printing, I guess a lot of people that are kind of new to it think like if you were to 3D print this Goofy, right? A lot of people would think, oh, I just put it in my slicer program and I print it this way, like bottom to top. Just line up the character and go. That would be such a bad idea. I'd like to do a little bit of a video on it at some point to really get in depth on it, or maybe just make a super in-depth course for how to print stuff like really, really well. I would break the hell out of this character. I would have to chop off its legs. Like, there's absolutely no way. I would probably, so for something like this, absolutely SLA. I might be able to do the legs, body. I might be able to do everything below the head in PLA. Just FDM print it. But absolutely resin for the head. Something as thin as those ears. Absolutely. These ears, I don't know what their minimum thickness is. I have this set up at like a little under 3 inches tall. So this is, that's half an inch. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think this is still set up for 3. That's not half an inch. There's no way. No, that is 0.05 of an inch, I think. So 0.05, that would have to be thickened up, because I think it's like a millimeter off the top of my head. Yeah, it's like 1.5 millimeters. And you'd want at least like 3 or 5 millimeters for minimum thicknesses. Where you sent your stuff to print before? Shapeways. Shapeways, you set up your print files, but the way they do it, you have to set them up in a very specific way. I only print SLS through Shapeways, which is their sandstone material. It's what gets laser cut out of a giant block of sandstone. Stupid bug. Yeah, that's quite a different process. That involves like hollowing out your object to save on material price and everything else. Much different. Craig says you use a display tablet or a pen and touch tablet. I don't know. I use a Cintiq. Oh, this does not have touch, the finger touch. I hate that. I hate the touch settings. I think they're totally useless. The only reason I would want a touch tablet, one, it causes more issues than I would ever want to deal with, but two, the only cool thing you can do with it is rotate your canvas in Photoshop, like with your fingers. Like you can spin it. That's kind of cool. It's useless in ZBrush though, and it just gets in the way with your hand. I used to have one, and my palm would occasionally screw it up. Rohit, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. We're working on our shoe. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do here. Try to cut this. I guess. Let's try this one more time. See how terrible it looks. Sounds expensive. The touch, yeah, the touch version of this tablet's like, I think it's like 500 more for just touch, and it's, I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, touch, it's awesome. It's annoying. Just gets in the way. Definitely not a fan. I'm just gonna attempt to project this and see if I can use the low res version to move that outside corner. It's really the only thing that I'm trying to tweak here. Because it sticks out way too far. That might have worked. Probably need quite a bit of cleanup through here though. Just trying to clean up that curve a little bit. And this is super sharp, so I'll try to add a little bit of smooth here so it starts to bevel it out a little bit. You could use some more volume in this area too. Craig says, I was looking at getting one for around 300 to 500. Sounds like a good deal for a Cintiq. I don't know if you're, or just a different graphics tablet. If you're looking at getting a display, if you specifically want a display. I don't think there's anything wrong with an Intuos either though. I know people that prefer them over graphics tablets. But if you can find a used Cintiq, I think that's the best deal that you can get. If you can find one on eBay or something. Let's see, what do we got here? How's that looking? So I think I need to pinch in the pants on both of these pant legs as it gets closer to the shoe. Start to taper that in. I'm also going to shorten this part, the toe portion of this. Like I said, it's really stretched in the concept over there. But hopefully this will make it not look quite as bad from every other angle. I guess we'll find out. You end up sacrificing too much for just one angle, it starts to get a little dicey. And then of course we'll have to get that like pinched hot dog meat in there. The leather of the shoe. Let's look at pinching the pant legs so that they maybe wrap around the shoe a little bit better. I think this could be taller, like right around here. I think that will also help in lining that up a little bit better. Let's see, brand doesn't matter. You say that now. It's not about the brand, it's about the technology, to me. Does the Cintiq use the processing and video card power of your PC, or does it have its own? I don't know. I do not know. But I know that it works, and it always works. I don't believe I have like a process running for my Cintiq in my task manager or anything. I pretty much keep that open all the time. I don't know, could probably look into it. Let's see. I don't know. It's worth a goog. Let's scale these pant legs now. I guess we'll just go into transpose and try to do everything at once. Just so that's more uniform. That's a nice yellow. To make me feel sick. Yes, you do connect it to your PC. It does have, I think it's got, I can't remember, I'd have to look at what's all going on. I think it has video, power, and I think it might also have a USB. I'd have to double check on that though. It's been a while since I've hooked it up. And it's not like it really matters to me. It's not like it affects my performance at all on my machine. And if you have a PC that it would affect your performance, maybe you should be considering upgrading your PC and not buying a giant Cintiq, or any Cintiq for that matter. Man, I have so much stuff jammed in this computer, this case that I have, that I can't close it. I have the lid, the side view off of it, but it also makes it easier to get the dust out. clean it off. It's getting there. Let's go back to our view here. So one thing that I really want to capture is that flow from the pant leg back to the shoe. I don't know how I'm gonna do that without, I guess I'm just gonna have to change the shape of the shoe really warp it just to have that read that way. And I mean, they're just different shapes. There's no way around it, I guess. I'm just trying to start to add in that pinch as we get in towards the edges here, just so this lines up with the shoe a little bit better. I can't just pinch it in at the bottom though, I need that to flow all the way up the leg. As I start to pinch in here, I don't want to get this flow from here and then have this like sharp pinch in like that. So I'm starting to pull in on this portion of the leg as well. Trying to get a nice curve all the way through here. But this will be easier to visualize once I see the subdies in there, just because I don't have them right now. This is pretty close actually. And maybe we can play with that some more. Not too bad. Starting to line up better. This one, oh boy. Got our work cut out for us. This is why it's really important to early on start to get all those parts and pieces in there. So if you guys were here in some of the earlier streams, I had a proxy mesh back here for the shoe. It was just something that I duplicated and threw over there really fast so that I could begin gauging size and information over here. Now we're kind of a lot closer than we would have been probably if we would have just been eyeballing it. So it's very important to, like I said, get that stuff in there as early as you can. Sometimes even adding poly paint really early can be super helpful. I'm going to be moving this down quite a bit, I think. And moving this up. I think we might be able to shrink that shoe after doing this as well. I think this will help get these shoes to be a little bit closer to the same size. Let's see. Ah man, those sleeves need some extra work too. So one of the things that I like to do when looking at some of these areas, I'm not just looking at essentially to help gauge proportion here. I'm not just looking at the shapes that are interacting here. I'm also looking at this negative shape that I'm getting. So I'm going to try to really push this shoe to get that nice curve that we have here, this straight line, and then kind of curving around into the bottom of the shoe. It's different than the shape that we have going on here, but as I start to push that, and once we get closer to that reed, I might actually be able to tweak this one, this shoe over here, to be a little bit more similar without breaking the silhouette too much. But only time will tell. So we'll try that next. So the first stage of getting that to be closer would be to just shrink down our shoe. I just like to use my move brush and then, or move transpose and kind of skew that down some. Maybe even rotate out a little bit. Same here with the bottom. Whoops. Might have accidentally masked something, but I didn't want to there. I guess we'll find out if this is going to be even possible here. How much do we need to break this? Gonna be the hardest part, is getting that to read from this other angle. I can get the silhouette pretty close already to lining up, but that 3/4 angle that we're trying to render from, maybe do a little back and forth here. So silhouette, we're definitely starting to get that line in there and that curve into that rounded form. That's what we're looking for. But as we get to that 3/4, actually it's starting to get there. So as long as we don't completely break the rest of this shoe, I think we'll be in a good place here. Now to realign our sole here. So it's really just kind of a balancing act, a little bit of a back and forth here, and slowly but surely we can make those changes. I might try something, like I said, similar on this shoe, but I don't want to. I want to keep that silhouette read. I don't know. We'll play with it. See what happens. There seemed to be a slight curve in the sole, going away from Goofy. That might help make that angle make sense in the sole right here. Well, we have this, which is kind of just pushed really far, and just kind of the angle of the foot here causing this curve. I don't know if I want to push that far, because really it's not like this is a nice flow around here. That's not like great. You get this like really kind of multi-hit break there. Doesn't look awesome. Once I put the negative in there, that'll be a little bit better though. So I guess we can do that just so that that's reading properly. Another cool thing that you can do with the transpose tool. People ask me, like, why do you use the transpose tool? Here's another reason. So this is rotated all sorts of awkward directions, right? And this is my orthographic front view. If I want to realign this orthographically, I can tap on this surface, this flat here, hold shift, and I can rotate that back to a 90-degree angle. So this is perfectly flat 90-degree angles this way. But now I need it to go the other way as well, so I'll hold shift again, and boom, snap that back into place. And now we have that aligned orthographically that way. And one more time for the other direction, and wham bam slam. All set up, ready to go. The magic of the transpose tool. So it's got like a lot of these secret technique-y things. I don't see a lot of people use these, but they're also great for I mainly learned and used all these techniques when I was doing a lot of stuff for toys and printing, because either for joints for toys, for setting stuff up. Is that backwards? No, that's not. I had to, oh, it's just misaligned. I had to use orthographics for like pivots and stuff like that, and I had to set up geometry in such a way to make that make sense. Or for printing, you always have to align to a flat if you want to be able to print properly. So when you're cutting stuff up, keying stuff off, you need to realign stuff to a flat, and that can really be helpful there. Slide along that normal a little bit. Where is it in the other shoe? I'm going to make both of these larger. Do you ever retopo manually? Yes, I do, but not for production. Hyperborean corridor. That is a mouthful. I'm using Move AccuCurve right now just to be a little bit more accurate here. Pushing in a couple points at a low res. Low res with your Move brush and AccuCurve on, just to help control that a little bit more. Let's try. The surface is starting to get a little bit dirty. The very, very light smooth here. I don't want to pinch it too much. Yeah, you can definitely start to see some awkward shadows going on down here. Not hard to just clean it up though. Definitely got some warble going on in the bottom of our foot. Shouldn't be too hard to pull out and clean up though. Starting to get a bunch of junk in the way, making it hard to rotate my camera. Or technically my model. Few things here that I would like to change. I want to start. This is not super clean. It's okay. I just want to pull this out some. Start getting that visible from the orthographic front. And then just have the heel overextend. A few little tweaks with the move brush and we're getting a lot closer. Want to take another look at this shape. This is forming up. It's definitely a little bit thicker through here. We're definitely getting this negative shape up through here a lot more accurately. I think maybe extending, thickening up some of that shoe, and then maybe even pushing the leg back a little bit further, just so we have, if you look at this angle, coming down from the elbow, or we can even do a straight line where that's hitting. So we're about right here, so it doesn't really need to push back that much further, but I think just a tiny bit will be a better read there for the silhouette. All the little things, right? Little tweaks here and there. Transpose it and scoot it just a tad. All right, so I got probably a little bit longer here, but the ZBrush Summit live sculpt off is fast approaching, so I don't want to cut into that too much, but I'll definitely be watching. So for some people that are coming in here a little bit late, definitely check out the ZBrush Summit. The live sculpt off is today. I think that's the only event today. And then there's some speakers tomorrow. A bunch of cool stuff, actually. I think my good buddy Pablo's going tomorrow. And more than a few others. Chris is also, I think, speaking tomorrow. if you guys have not looked up Chris Costa and his work, he recently did a Rick Baker. You can check out his ArtStation. He did a 3D like spot on rep of Rick Baker. It looks super awesome. Definitely check it out. That angle, I might just, let me see something. Man, one angle, huh? I think that's fine. Let's go back. Well, I'm glad we have that foot a lot closer to being done now. It was neglected for quite a long time. That could be probably straightened out, and that might help lend to that difference in silhouette as well. One thing I want to add in before we get too far is this little fold here. And I'll be merging this down, but one technique you can do for this, I don't know why local sim got turned off there. Sometimes I like to use my trim brush and come through here and start to reverse bevel this edge. Something like that. But this is such a defined shape that I would definitely prefer to try to do that separately and get that roundness in there and everything else. So, curve tube. And I'll just Dynamesh those, since there were two of them. A little bit unavoidable in that situation. And we can just start shaping that to be closer to the shape that we have here. I have to register to watch the Sculpt off, or can you watch it on YouTube? You don't have to register, I don't think. You shouldn't. There's no like stream code or anything. It's just a live event. Anybody can watch it. You can watch it on their YouTube or on their Twitch channel. For the entire schedule, you can go to their ZBrush, pixelogic.com/ZBrush Live, I think is what it is. Or just Google ZBrush Live, and you'll find the where you can stream and the whole schedule and everything else. So this has like this flattened roundness to it. It's a little bit more skewed towards the bottom. So try to fix that angle, I guess. And then, whoa, way too much. Let's maybe inflate this a little bit. Try that out. Yeah, I'm not sure about the online courses. That sounds... If you heard that you had to register for something, I'm sure it's just that. They definitely wouldn't want you'd have to register to watch the ZBrush Summit. They want to get as many people watching that as they possibly can. Starting to turn that surface a little bit more. I think it's pretty close now. And a quick remesh will set us up in a good place. Check that angle again. Maybe make that a little bit wider. It's a little bit more uniform than I would prefer, but these are also the kind of things that we're looking for in the silhouette. So we have this external silhouette that wraps around really nicely into an internal line there. That's a really nice shape that we're trying to capture as well. We can clearly see that happening in here. Those internal silhouette lines are not always easy to get, but this is one of those cases where the shape that we had created was clean enough and just set up in the correct way to where that lined up really nicely. So that's great. And then of course, the last step of setting up these external folds for subtools is just merging them all together. Making sure that there's some subdivs in there. And then I'm just gonna do one more pass here to make sure things are looking clean. And then let's merge them together. Running Dynamesh, 224 is plenty, I'm sure. Try that one more time without poly paint. Sculpt off is live! Woo! It doesn't start for another hour, so they just have it probably doing a show reel, and they'll probably talk a little bit here at the beginning. Guys, we'll just watch it all together. It'll be a good time. You can watch it on... I will stream their stream. No. Oh man. Uh-oh, everything toggled off there. So I need to blend that edge a little bit better. And I think that will be good for this shoe. And then we'll probably call it good for now. Just ever so slowly kind of building up the form with my trim dynamic and clay tubes. Start to blend that in. Kenny, what's going on, man? Welcome to the end of our stream. Dang bro, you're a machine. I can assure you that I might be a machine. No, I'm not. We had to do an earlier morning stream because the ZBrush Sculpt off is going to be starting soon. And I want to watch that, and then I won't be able to stream for the rest of the day. Won't have time. And there's other events going on as well. Or there's, not other events, but there's, the Sculpt off is like going on all day. It's like a 6-hour thing, if I remember. Always get frustrated and have to take breaks. Breaks are for the weak. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely take breaks. It also helps rest your eyes so you can come back and look at something with fresh pair of eyes. See all the mistakes that you made. Typically there's a lot. I need to just push through like you. Yeah, no man, I don't like push through. I don't think that's necessarily a great idea. Just find, I mean, everybody's different. Find how much time you need in between your sessions and go from there. Like I said, you really want to take the time to give yourself that fresh pair of eyes looking at your work. I came back to this and immediately I was like, oh, I need to just twist this head more and also elongate his nose and do all this and just a bunch of stuff that I notice. But it's more of like really big, simple changes that I can make quickly to try to make the silhouette and everything else read from this angle, which isn't easy in this one, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's not about. I don't know if pushing through is always a great idea. Let's remesh that shoe. Still relatively new to sculpting, so everything I do frustrates me. Yeah, those early stages, sometimes pushing through is the best idea in those early stages, and it's not. I really recommend, if you're really new, to really try to hit quantity over quality. And just try to get like as many miles as you can in those early stages, because you're going to be really bad. You just like, there's no way around it, and you just need to like get through those rough periods as quick as you can. I don't know, like watch as many tutorials as you can, but like really it's about mileage at that stage. It really is. This isn't what I want. Maybe I can clean this. Man, I don't know. I might be getting sick here. My stomach wants to eat itself. It was so bad that I like woke up at 4 AM last night and I just couldn't sleep. I don't know if you guys have ever been feeling sick and you feel like you should throw up, but like, I hate throwing up so much. It's like the grossest thing in the world. But sometimes it makes you feel better. I just hate that feeling so much. And like I was saying earlier, I'm someone that gets sick fairly often, so I am no stranger to that feeling, and also forcing myself to puke. Either I'm getting sick or I'm having an appendicitis. You know, one of the two. It's not that big of a deal though. Probably have 5 dozen sculpts that are halfway done since I haven't gotten that far in my tutorial series that you purchased. Yeah, that's why if you're, I don't know, I guess it kind of depends on what your goals are. But I think like project-based tutorials and courses and all that are extremely helpful early on, because it gives you kind of that end goal so you don't end up with 5 dozen halfway finished pieces. But also, I wouldn't be caught up too much at that stage on trying to finish everything that you start. I would experiment as much as you can, and you know, you'll figure it out. The only difference between, you know, a super awesome artist and someone that's just starting is time. That's really all it is. People want to believe that there's some mystical force called innate talent and all this stuff, and there really just isn't. It's just time. Sure, you can be like pre-exposed to something. It's like both of Mozart's parents were musicians. It's like, of course he's composing stuff from a really young age. He's been playing music since the day he could slap his hands on a piano. So, you know, I didn't start art until way later in my my life, until like the end of my college career. So, I mean, it's possible. It's just gotta put in that time. And if you put in that time when you're younger, then it's like, it's not that much, it's not as big of a deal, I think. Because those are your formative years, you know? You can, what else are you gonna do with your time when you're a stupid kid? Might as well make it useful. Oh no! What happened? What's going on? I guess this moved at some point? Oh. Oh, okay. I was so confused. How far back was I? I was back like 200 undos or so. That was weird. Let's see. Kenny says that he's a 3D motion designer and started sculpting mostly for fun and to have his own models instead of downloading other people's stuff. Well, that's fun. Yeah, I mean, take your time with it for sure. Just a hobby. It's good stuff though. That's fun. That's cool, man. I assume you're probably into 3D printing if you're, you know, wanting to do stuff with 3D models. Or maybe you're doing something for animation since you're into motion design, 2D graphics stuff. Alright, so I think we've... Let me apply that color. I think we've done a pretty good job of getting that shoe a lot closer now. I mean, really it was nothing when we started here, so just kind of cut up into pieces. So I think that's going to be a good place for us to stop, guys. Like I said, the Sculpt off is going to be starting here soon. Go check that out. It's on Pixelogic's website, ZBrush Live, or on their YouTube channel and their Twitch channel. You can watch it. I think you can even watch it on Facebook, but why in the hell would you do that? Also, really quick. Oh, see, look, we already got people. We already got people in here. If you guys like the free stuff that I do on my YouTube channel and on my streams, please definitely check out my Gumroad, where I have some paid courses that I put a lot more work into, as well as some one-on-one mentorship, which is one of the things that I get asked about the most. And I also have a couple other things on there, like my brushes and materials, and some other stuff that you guys can check out if you are interested in that. I would appreciate you just giving it a look. So with all that said, guys, thank you for coming and hanging out. I hope to see you in the chat for the ZBrush Summit this coming weekend. Probably won't be doing a lot of streaming just because that's going to be going on, and I'm going to be watching that and participating in that as much as I can. But yeah, I hope to see you guys there. And if you did come a little bit late to this stream, or if you missed anything here that you want to see again, this will be put up as a VOD on my YouTube channel, so don't feel bad if you missed anything. This whole process is up there. So yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day. Kareem says, plan to buy your last course, or my latest course. I think that's the Stylized Female Face, Sculpting Stylized and Appealing Female Faces. So yeah, definitely check that out. That's my most recent one. Ton of really cool stuff in that one. I think there's like over 5 hours of footage, a lot of real-time stuff, voiceover, all that good stuff. It even comes with the finished model if you want that. But yeah, I will see you guys hopefully in the chat for the ZBrush Live, ZBrush Summit. So I'll see you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.